What's up, gang? Today we're reacting to why everyone is wrong about Tyla's identity. Video by Blackie Speaks. Alright, let's see what this is all about. Hopefully Tyla's okay. And I love her music. Let's go.
Now, if you've been on certain spaces of social media, you've probably heard all about the Tyla discourse. There's been a wave of viral takes claiming she said she's not black, and it's led to a lot of people questioning how Tyla identifies and what it really means. However, that's not the full story, and in fact, it's not even half of it. There's a deep history tied to Tyla's background in South Africa.
I think it's like they're saying, bro, she's South African. So just how it works is if she was born in the US, yeah, she'll be considered black, but that's not the case in South Africa, you know?
And without understanding that, the whole conversation online gets taken out of context. Is this a Tyla issue, or is it just an issue of education? I think it's the latter.
Exactly, it's an educational thing. In South Africa, they classified in three categories due to apartheid, which happened, in the past, terrible time. So where they had black people, colored people, and white people. So Tyla would be considered colored as she's just, way too light to be considered black.
Let's break it down. Now, Tyla is a 23-year-old singer and songwriter from South Africa who's taken the music world by storm. With her infectious energy, captivating visuals, and a blend of Afrobeat-inspired pop and R&B, she's quickly become one of the biggest stars in the music industry.
Nah, she's been doing her thing for real.
But with her rise, a different conversation has taken place over her success, her racial identity. People have been questioning how Tyla identifies, with many believing she's trying to distance herself from blackness. Ever since she blew up, her racial identity has been a major talking point. Born and raised in Johannesburg, South Africa, Tyla, who has Zulu, Irish...
Such a stupid conversation too, bro. It's 2025 and we're trying to diss this girl from what color she is. So stupid, bro.
...and Mauritian Indian heritage, openly embraced her mixed race background on TikTok before the fame, consistently referring to herself as a colored woman. And by the time 2024 rolled around, Tyla was starting to appear everywhere, and the questions about her racial identity only got louder. After a Breakfast Club interview, she was accused of rejecting blackness. In June 2024, Tyla pulled up to the Breakfast Club, and that interview turned into one of the biggest talking points of her career. Radio host Charlemagne the God asked her about her racial identity.
School me on these debates that they be having about your identity as a South African colored person. What does that even mean?
Now for Tyla, this was not a simple question because her answer is tied to history, culture, and the way race works where she's from in South Africa.
Facts.
So instead of answering right away, she kind of, did the freeze challenge. She froze for a second, even looked at her team, in the back like, what do I say? And that little pause, that's what set everything off. Now, the clip blew up online within hours, and people were saying that she dodged the question and that she was rejecting her blackness. But was that really the case, or is there more to this moment than people realize? Yes.
I think it would have been a bigger issue if she did say she was black, especially to her South African audience, which, were her ride or dies, which were her original followers,
There's more. In the US, the word colored is offensive. It's tied to Jim Crow segregation, when black Americans were forced into separate schools, bathrooms, and even drinking fountains. But in South Africa, where Tyla is from, colored isn't a slur. It's an official racial category created under apartheid, a system that legally divided people by race. From 1948 until the early 1990s, the South African government classified people into four groups: white, black, colored, and Indian. And this wasn't just paperwork. It dictated where you could live, who you could marry, what job you could have, even which beaches or bathrooms.
This would be the same as Trevor Noah, who is also considered colored, not a black man and not a white man, as he has a white father and a white mother. So yeah, that makes him colored.
You could use. And here's the key difference, right? In South Africa, colored doesn't mean mixed race like it does in America. When you hear mixed race in the US, it usually means having parents or grandparents of different races. For example, someone with one black parent and, someone with one white parent. In the US,
this is very true. If a colored person and another colored person were to make a baby, their kid would be also considered colored.
Mixed race describes an individual.
Disclaimer, this is only for South Africa, and we're trying to stray away from this now, as it is racism.
Individual's family background, not an entire community. In South Africa, however, colored is much deeper than ancestry. It's a recognized cultural identity with its own history, traditions, social norms. Essentially, it's a community that's existed for generations. And in the Western Cape, the province where Cape Town is, they're actually the largest group, making up about 42% of the population. So that's not a small group, that's nearly half of the province. So when Tyla says she's colored, she isn't avoiding blackness, she's speaking about the identity her country recognizes. So the colored community in South Africa have over generations built a unique heritage shaped by African, European, and Asian roots. But under apartheid, they were still placed in a strict racial hierarchy, ranked between white and black, and denied many basic rights. While the black majority faced the harshest oppression, colored people also lived under laws that controlled their movements, limited their opportunities, and kept them segregated. One of the harshest tools was the pass laws, which forced non-white South Africans, especially black people, to carry ID at all times. Without a pass, you could be arrested or forced out of your own city. Entire communities were uprooted into overcrowded townships, tearing families apart. So essentially, it was a system designed to keep people, powerless. But systems built on oppression always face resistance. And in 1976, frustration exploded in the Soweto uprising. Thousands of black students took to the streets to protest a government policy, forcing Afrikaans, a Dutch-based language spoken mostly by white South Africans and the police, as the main language in schools.
So I'm saying it was a terrible time, and it's just, I would say, mostly just Americans and the Western audience being ignorant to the history and the facts of how South Africa was. So I mean, this is a good learning video. It's good for you guys to get educated and understand how this came to be.
For the students, this wasn't just a language barrier, it was another form of control. Most teachers couldn't even speak Afrikaans fluently, which made learning nearly impossible. And for the students, it made one thing clear: the government wasn't just, holding them back in the present, it was cutting them off from the future. What started as a peaceful protest quickly turned into a massacre when police opened fire on unarmed students, killing hundreds. So if Jim Crow was Black America's breaking point, the Soweto uprising was South Africa's. And this became a turning point in the fight against apartheid, sparking global outrage and fueling even more resistance. And meanwhile, the system made sure the non-white South Africans, including the colored community, were kept at the bottom, excluded from land, wealth, and opportunities. So when she says, "I'm colored," she's not rejecting her blackness, she's affirming a community that's existed for generations, one rooted in history,
100%,
culture, and survival. So colored in South Africa isn't a slur. It's tied to a cultural community that survived apartheid, and for many, it's a source of pride. And that's why the backlash Tyla has faced says...
And it's not her avoiding being black, but actually telling you specifically what type of black she is.
Less about her and more about how Americans project their own racial lens onto the rest of the world. And for her, obviously, it's very tricky because she's stepping into a world that only sees race in black and white. So the real question isn't about Tyla. The real question is, are we willing to see race outside of the American lens? Now, Tyla has responded to the discourse about her race, and she said the following: "All my life, I knew I was black, but I also knew I was colored. So when I went to America and people were like, 'You can't say that,' I was stuck wondering, what am I then?" She later explained why she stayed quiet in that viral interview. She didn't want to unpack her culture on a platform built for sound bites, because every time she tried before, people twisted her words and ran with narratives she never said. Now,
I agree with that. With such a serious conversation and very heavy, deep-rooted history behind it, trying to explain this on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne would have been a crazy, dumb move, you know what I mean? It's better to just do it in a maybe more informed and better environment than The Breakfast Club, 100%.
There's a couple lessons in this entire Tyla story, right? First of all, America doesn't own the conversation on race. The way race is understood around the world, and in South Africa specifically, shaped by apartheid's legacy, is completely different. And, that's the part that most people have missed. Second, the world is so much bigger than America. I mean, the black experience is universal, but it's obviously not one-dimensional. I mean, there's literally black communities all over the world, right? Each with their own history, struggles, and cultures. And that's why Tyla calling herself colored isn't about rejecting blackness. It's about reminding us that identity isn't a one-size-fits-all box, and that the world doesn't revolve around the American lens. At the end of the day, this whole controversy is about education. I mean, people just don't really know what they don't know, and that ignorance is what turns someone's cultural pride into confusion. Too often, people expect others to strip away their identity just to fit in when they come to another place. America in this case, but that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, after all, isn't that what's supposed to, make America great in the first place? Tyla's identity isn't complicated, it's just misinterpreted and misunderstood. The backlash wasn't really about what she said, but about how people choose to hear it. Because instead of trying to understand, people imposed their own definitions and turned a non-issue into a controversy. And that's kind of frustrating because honestly, like, all you gotta do is you gotta just do a little bit of research. The facts are right there. Apartheid's impact is well documented, but people would rather react before learning. And that brings me to this. Isn't policing...
Yeah, guys, don't be ignorant, dude. It's just one search away. You know, don't shit on an artist just because you don't understand where they come from. Take a little bit of initiative, you know?
Tyla's identity, the same thing so many of us as black people have fought against. The idea that someone else gets to decide what it means to be black. And it all goes back to the bigger misunderstanding. The idea that black people are a monolith. People shouldn't have to erase who they are to fit into someone else's narrative.
Facts.
Hopefully this conversation pushes more people to educate themselves before jumping to conclusions, because when you do that, you're just burning calories on a problem that doesn't exist. Anyway, if you made it this far, drop a like on this video. If you're new here, my name...
Yeah, guys, like I said, I think this is more of an educational kind of thing. If you guys didn't understand apartheid and just the way people were racially categorized in South Africa, I hope you learned something new. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Just want to say I appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, hit that like button. Also, we're doing daily uploads, so please hit that subscribe button and keep up to date, guys. I really appreciate you guys. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below. See you in the next.
Amen.